Opposition leader Jim Bolger was reluctantly drawn into the Treaty of Waitangi uproar today when he backed the comments of his Māori Affairs spokesman Winston Peters. Mr Peters had said that a national government would downgrade the treaty's importance. The Prime Minister accused Mr Peters of desecrating race relations in New Zealand and said his statements were an indelible stain on the spirit of 1990. But Mr Bolger is standing by his Māori Affairs spokesman. Chris Ryan reports.
Privately, Jim Bolger is said to be furious with Winston Peters. National has worked hard finalising its new education policy. Today, once again, Mr Bolger was forced to follow Winston Peters rather than lead on policy. Mr Bolger says National has not finalised its policy on racial issues, but he says Maori people do need more than just the treaty to succeed.
The failure of young Maoris in our education system is a national disgrace. And if we're going to resolve that, we have to look to the education system, I have to say, not to the Treaty of Waitangi.
Prime Minister Geoffrey Palmer has attacked Mr Peters' claim that under a national government the Treaty of Waitangi will take a back seat to more emphasis on Maori educational success.
That would be a massive step backwards. Not only for Maori and New Zealand society, but for New Zealand society itself.
The Prime Minister pleaded with Labour Party members today not to wash the party's dirty linen in public. Mr Palmer was attending two of his party's most troublesome regional conferences. The first was in Wellington, home of union activists, although not many turned up. Mr Palmer is currently chairing a review of the party's constitution, a review he promised would not accommodate extremism. This afternoon he moved north to face Auckland delegates, still bitterly split after the Te Atatu selection fiasco. Mr Palmer warned delegates not to use the media to score political points.
If the media look at things in terms of victory or defeat, and if they thrive on a fight, we've been taking pretty good care of him lately. And I want to say that it has to stop. We've got to put our energy into the real issues. We've got to be ready for the election, and we don't have much time.
An arson spree in Lower Hutt last night caused thousands of dollars worth of damage. Fire swept through 5 classrooms at St Bernard's College in the early hours of this morning. It's the third arson at the school in just over a year. This time, though, the arsonist carried on to incinerate 3 cars in nearby streets. The owners of one car were asleep when it and the garage went up in flames. Quick action by neighbours stopped the fire spreading. Whangarei police are tonight hunting 4 men who kicked in the door of a city sports store and made off with at least 15 shotguns. Their getaway car, a light blue Mazda or Datsun, was fitted with stolen number plates and was last seen heading south out of Whangarei. Police say they're mystified as to why the gang ignored an AK-47 rifle, which was displayed beside the shotguns. In South Africa, the surprising rapport that's developed between President de Klerk and black nationalist Nelson Mandela was displayed today at an international media conference.
After 3 days of historic discussions, first President de Klerk and then Mr Mandela appeared to face the press together. Their handshake, evidence of the progress made. President de Klerk spoke of a breakthrough and a great step forward.
The joint commitment to peaceful solutions which will lead to real negotiation, which can lead to real negotiation, is of extreme importance to all the people of South Africa.
Mr Mandela said the talks were the realization of a dream.
We went into these discussions in the spirit that there should neither be victors nor losers. And at the end of this discussion, not only are we closer to one another, the ANC and the government, but we are all victims.
Mr Mandela then announced the ANC would review the armed struggle following today's agreement. In return, the government will review security laws the ANC regards as repressive, and both men agreed to meet again.
In the United States, about 4,000 people turned out to mark the 20th anniversary of one of the most traumatic events of the Vietnam War, the shooting of 4 students at Kent State University. They were killed when National Guardsmen opened fire on a campus demonstration against the US invasion of Cambodia.
Protest banners waved in the rain at today's dedication, arms up in peace signs. But this is a memorial to American students killed and wounded by American guardsmen 20 years ago. It was a very different time.
This is not an invasion of Cambodia.
But American troops moved into Cambodia, and on college campuses all over America, students shouted no.
Leave this area immediately.
Here at Kent State, the National Guard opened fire. 4 students killed, 9 wounded.
When I talk about it now and I realize how violent the anger still is, it's quite overwhelming. It hasn't dissipated.
Kent State has had trouble trying to heal its wounds. There is much bitterness here still, but it is better, someone wrote, to light a candle than to curse the darkness. They lit candles today. The healing has started after 20 years.